Some of the most important materials used in everyday life are metals. Different forms of metals are used to make the phones we use, the cars we drive, and the planes we take. Being a part of such important industries, safety and durability are imperative. This makes Broder Metals Group's work especially important.
Based in Sheffield, we are a stockist and distributor of high-grade stainless steels and nickel alloy bar stock products to the UK, European and worldwide markets for oil and gas, Petro-Chemical, pump and valve, motorsport, aerospace and nuclear industries.
Some of our core values are flexibility, speed, attitude and teamwork. We're a big believer in investing in people. We've just taken on 3 new employees this year, 1 in quality, a marketing apprentice and a lady in admin. So we like to bring on new talent, and we believe teamwork, not just internally but also with customers, is a really good thing, you know.
One of the things we look to do in Broder Metals, and it is a critical thing for the industry, is to get things right first time. One of the things that we excel at in Broder is to supply material to specifications. This is not only for such as the nuclear and aerospace sector, but also for the oil and gas and renewable markets. The critical thing here is if a failure occurs further down the line due to something being missed on a standard or a specification regarding the material, failures can be catastrophic. So it is absolutely critical that everything we supply is fit for purpose and in effect right first time.
Environmental, social and governance, or ESG for short, is a set of considerations some companies follow to track environmental and social issues, as well as corporate governance. This keeps businesses informed on fair and ethical business practices.
Now what this basically means is that every company has to be responsible for their actions in how they produce material, how they look after the social aspect of the companies, such as employees, and the effect on the environment, be that the local community and how it contributes to the local community, but also the way the company is governed. And that can be so many different aspects. That can be health and safety, that can be anti-slavery. The list is endless. And as a company, since 2010, we've been heavily involved in that. And we have been adding many, many different facets to each of those pillars.
We ensure that our customers' needs are met by having a very stringent contract review system. Basically, because we're aerospace and fit for nuclear approved, we have to go to the next level with documentation and traceability. The traceability that we provide has to be from the melting of the product all the way through to the finished machine component. So it's imperative that we include that in our products. As a sales team as well, anybody who starts with the company who's got no industry knowledge, they have to go through a full metallurgy type training scheme. And we try to promote proactive salespeople, so they know and understand what the customers are looking for, and that will kind of help them develop. One such occasion where we work with customers is one of the Formula 1 companies was looking for a small diameter of bars. We didn't have a saw that was capable of cutting the small diameters, so we invested and put a new bar saw into place.
To stay ahead of the curve, companies must remain innovative. Innovation brings positive changes, such as faster production times and better, more durable products.
Innovation is key to our industry for us to stay ahead of the game and make sure that we survive through hard times such as COVID. We have started attending exhibitions. We did 2 exhibitions last year. We've got 3 exhibitions now for this year, which we completed and moving on to the same next year. A couple of those exhibitions are new exhibitions. One is called the UK Metals Expo. That was set up by Lord Rupert Regensdale from the House of Lords, and it was designed to promote UK steel industry as a whole, as opposed to being one section of it. An example is some exhibitions are for the chemical industry, some are for oil and gas. This is for the steel industry as a whole. And that proved very successful. And I think people are becoming more and more involved, and it's good because it's promoting UK business as opposed to imports from other countries. So that's one good way. We also attended the Manufacturing Supply Chain Expo at Barnsley last month. That was really good because there's a company in Sheffield called the AMRC, the Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre, and this concentrates on local business. And it was set up by the universities in conjunction with people like Boeing, McLaren, and that's proved really fruitful for the local area. And Sheffield just gained the biggest government grant they've ever had of £80 million off the back of that, which is great. And this is kind of what they were pushing at the event. And going forward, I think it's really good for the local industry that they're investing locally in the Sheffield City region. And they're also going to start broadening out to Doncaster, Rotherham, Barnsley. So it's that kind of thing that will reduce the carbon footprint, because if you buy material locally, you're not fetching it in from abroad, keeping carbon footprint down, costs down, and it's imperative for the UK industry. Another thing to bear in mind is that Sheffield has always been quite famous in the steel industry as one of the first innovators. Over the last few years, that's dropped off significantly as other countries become more and more experienced. But one thing we need to bear in mind is that Sheffield has 3 of the UK's 4 electro arc furnaces there. So again, we're a very strong local region, and we need to push that going forward.
The manufacturing industry struggled at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, and later, the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
The manufacturing industry has been particularly badly hit by COVID and the war in Ukraine. What we saw particularly happen was people leave the industry either through redundancy or just not being replaced as they left through retirement or finding other work. And that has a major effect. Once those skills have gone, it's very hard to, or it takes a long time, I should say, to retrain people. And apprentices and so on, those schemes are great, but they do take a long time to replace people with 20, 30, 40 years experience. We particularly saw that with the mills who made staff redundant during COVID. They've been playing catch up ever since, and unfortunately that's resulted in material being rejected or undersupplied, and then it becomes a spiral downwards, that because they're already so tight on production, they're trying to fit in extra shifts or extra production runs to make up what they should have produced in the first place, and it just sends the lead times out even further. But more locally as well, the machine shops around here and other stockists weren't busy during COVID. We saw our turnover halve. I'm sure a lot of other companies were the same, and that did mean there was a requirement for fewer staff. So luckily at Broder we didn't have to make staff redundant. We had just enough work to keep going, but we didn't hire people. And then when the work did turn back on, it's been a rush to find staff to fill those gaps that we've suddenly had in the workforce. So it's interesting times, as they say, in the industry at the moment. And then you throw in the huge spike we've seen in demand. I mean, I don't think anybody really predicted just how rapidly things would pick up. I mean, it was prompted by the war in Ukraine, really. We were already picking up in demand and activity levels at that point, but that was the point where it really took off, and it's continued at those levels for quite a while since. So yeah, skill shortages, undercapacity resulting from that, and there was a lack of investment for those COVID years as well, which drives that undercapacity. So yeah, it will take a few years to sort of get back to an even keel, really.
At this moment in time, supply chain issues are a real problem for us. There's been a huge demand since COVID for metals for almost every application, be it oil and gas or Petro-Chem or aerospace or motorsport. The problem is that we only have a handful of steel mills that we can purchase our material from. They are all very, very busy. They are so full that there's no slack in their production schedule, to the extent that we are now placing orders for replacement stock for mid to end of 2025. which is a real issue for us because, you know, do we really know what we need during 2025? Probably not, but we have to take an educated guess. We're a stockholder. If we don't have the stock, we don't have the business to support our customer base.
Companies are rapidly embracing sustainability, implementing eco-friendly measures to address environmental concerns and reduce their impact.
Sustainability for Broder means two things. One, we want to maintain the sustainability of the business, and we have a management team that will supersede the current directors of the business, hopefully to keep that business going for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Secondly, we're looking to get into more products that support the sustainable industry. Nuclear, we're into nuclear. We're into looking at renewables. We're supplying more and more product that goes into wind power, onshore and offshore. And, you know, by putting more sustainable metals into these industries, metals that last longer than the current ones they're operating with, it means that they're going to be in situ longer, and we don't have to keep making more and more metal, using more and more energy to make new metals, because we've got metals now with the technology that can stay in situations longer, be more sustainable, and therefore if they're in that situation for a longer period of time and don't have to be replaced, the world's not consuming more energy to keep replacing what we currently have.
So sustainability is important to us at Broder to make sure as employees and families have got a future going forward. We need to ensure that the local city region maintains industry, which will obviously create more jobs for our younger family members, etc. So it's really important that we look after what's going to happen 10, 20, 30 years down the line. And I think a lot of the net zero type of projects that are going on, they're all relaying back to the fact we need to start looking at what's going to happen over the next 20, 30 years, as opposed to what's happening now that happened during the coal industry type era.
Sustainability and Broder Metals Group, Broder Aerospace is very, very important. So we can look at many different aspects. We can look at the materials that we supply. We can look at the supply chain, and that's going from the product when it comes in through the door, but also the complete route it finds to us from the manufacturer, from the mill. Whether it's a mill, whether it's a manufacturer of ground support equipment, whether it's a manufacturer of hoses, whether it's a manufacturer of advanced power products. We have to ensure that we manage the supply chain correctly under the terms of our ESG policy, and make sure that we are offering the best possible service to our customers with the best sustainability.
We have plans in place for Broder to evolve over the next few years. A, with the management team driving the company forward. B, getting more business and increasing our business with the areas of industry, nuclear, renewable.
Looking to the future, Broder Metals Group have big plans to expand to different industries and broaden their supply chain. With a new emphasis on sustainability and future expansion plans, the industry looks to have a bright future ahead of it.